Rory McBride, Global Sales for Maritime at Midstream. I'll tell you, I've known Rory since I started working here at the port. Rory's been, I'm not ashamed to say, my drinking buddy when we do our conferences, whether it's summer conference or winter conference. I'm sorry to say we haven't been able to do that, Rory. I apologize.
And I apologize too. We'll have to make up for double time on the next one.
There you go. There you go. So I'd like to introduce Rory. Go ahead, Rory. You got it.
Hey guys, how you doing? Thanks everybody for joining today. We try to keep this informative and a little fun for everybody here. Hopefully, saving money is one of those things everybody enjoys. I'm going to share this up here. Can everybody see my screen? Okay.
Absolutely.
Yep. Got it.
Great. Let me just start that slideshow. If the button will click. There we go. So hi everybody, my name is Rory McBride. As Doug's mentioned, I've been working with Midstream Lighting for the past year and a half. And for those that are not familiar, Midstream Lighting is a lighting design company and an LED manufacturer. So today I'm going to talk to you about reliability and some energy efficiencies that can be obtained. So, thankfully we had some great introductions from Yardi and Portlink. They've helped fill in this slide quite a bit, so I think I can move through it a little bit quickly. Traditional efficiencies, in the last several years have often been looked at, well, if you want to raise the bottom line of the business activity of the port, you got to get cranes. Well, if you bought all the cranes your berths can handle or your deck can withstand, then you need to do more. Usually go to automation, and then for the TOS systems, and even, things like traffic flows, increasing gate times, customs border patrol, scanning and things, anything you can do to get things moving faster. Unfortunately, and what I've noticed, and, I come from the old school ways of efficiencies, and now that I'm with the new school, I noticed there is not a lot of attention on some of the energy efficiencies that have become available in the last several years, lighting being one of them. So I'd like to take a little time to share with everybody about, if they haven't upgraded to LEDs yet, really what they're missing out on. Before we get into all those details, I'd just like to provide a little bit of background of who Midstream Lighting is, to let everybody know that we actually know what we're talking about. Midstream Lighting was formed back in 2009, and we are the world's first industrial LED manufacturer. We specialize in maritime, aviation, and stadium applications. But more importantly, we're also a lighting design company and really a consultant for the customer. So what we really do is we come in and tailor specific lighting designs for each and every port to achieve these three core values: to achieve the OSHA requirements with the minimum amount of fixtures required. So we go out and look for anywhere where we can eliminate redundancies in fixtures or just unnecessary in general. Then after that's done, then we go see how can we drive the wattage consumption down? What is the bare minimum that we can provide that will still hit the OSHA requirement? And then third, how can we do all of this with the fastest energy payback possible? And so all of these things kind of go into taking and reducing energy consumption, but also in terms of cutting the maintenance costs. Now, something I want to kind of ask everybody here, a little opportunity for everyone to kind of participate a little bit, is, all the attendees and presenters, if they're interested to do, please raise your hand if you know how much money you spend on the lighting maintenance at your port. Just give everyone a second to find that raise hand button. I can't see it anymore, but we can go ahead and start moving on to it. Uh-oh, did I just click on too many things? Yeah, there we go. So I'm sorry, I can't see who has raised their hands or not. Jane, do you see, did anybody raise their hands?
Hang on, I'm just checking here. I can't see. Yep. Hang on a second. No, I don't see anybody that's raised their hand. Sorry.
So I would say for me, that's probably the first red flag. It's really hard to save money on something if you don't really know how much you're spending on something. So I would encourage everybody here that operates ports or works at the ports to take an account and see really what it is. And I'll tell you, it's probably a lot more than what you think it is. But aside from that, the benefit of LEDs also provide the safest working environment. The light clarity and the reach of the light eliminates shadows. It helps with color recognition, especially at night. Also secures the facility greater, minimizes the environmental impact by reducing your carbon footprint. And just like our friends at Yardi were discussing in the beginning, makes your port that some people think is ugly a little bit less ugly. And it really cuts down that light pollution, the glow. There's zero uplight, so you're not kind of the spotlight from around the city that everyone can spot and see. And so there's certainly a litany of wonderful things that getting LED lights can provide. As I mentioned before, what Midstream really does is when a customer is interested in pursuing some of the opportunities of energy efficiencies, we like to come in and we do a complete analysis of what they currently have. Then we draw up and craft a custom tailored lighting design that shows them what we can do with their existing infrastructure in terms of either replacing the standard 1,000 watt bulbs that often are out there with our 600s, or certain designs that allow actually a mix of our products to even drive down the cost even further. And all of these just have the full spectrum of benefits like we discussed in terms of reliability and taking into account the light distributions, the size of the fittings, all of these things all come into play. Now, just to give you a brief illustration of the different ports where we're operating around the world, we've been all over Europe, where my company is based out of. Manufacturing is done out of England and Romania, so we try to keep everything in the highest manufacturing conditions as possible. In this business, the reliability of the product is the most important thing. I just really want to drive that home, is that a LED light should last for 10 years or 50,000 hours. So I mean, a full operating port that's banging around the clock, it'll last them 10 years. For a port that's operating at half of that much, it'll last you 20 years. And so when it comes into a product that lasts that long, the reliability is the most important thing. Otherwise, your investment's just going to go right out the window. So we've been around long enough to work through any kind of design issues to make sure that our products are designed to last as long as they have. And in fact, Midstream Lighting is the only LED manufacturer in the world that is actively replacing its own LEDs because they have reached end of life. So we did an installation back in 2009 at Glasgow Airport, and they are finally getting to the point where some of their lights are starting to need to be replaced. And so I encourage anybody, if they're ever looking at this, references are incredibly important. Because everyone can say their products last 50,000 hours, but most of them have no reference point for that. So just want to drop that little knowledge on everybody here. We'll move along to the next one. So now we're going to get into the real interesting stuff here. How much money are we really talking about? So we'll just do a little exercise here. I took some numbers from a single 100-foot high mast pole, which is very, very commonly found, particularly on the West Coast. This is what every pole in Port of Long Beach, Port of LA has, and Port of Seattle. Mostly Seattle is like this. And so typically what you'd see to achieve this, what's called the foot candle average, the 3.5 foot candles. This is what OSHA requires for safe operations in a maritime environment. And typically to achieve that, you'd see poles mounted with 12 1,000 watt high pressure sodium bulbs. Now, because there's a ballast and the power draw is increased to 1250, you take your annual hours per pole, you're looking at 15 kilowatts consumption per pole. And you take that for the hours annually, you're at 65,000. Now you compare that below, what we did is a mix of our products, a 600 watt and a 300 watt, and with the same numbers and computations, now we're at 24,000 kilowatt hours per year. That's a savings of 68% or 41,000 kilowatt hours. Now I would like to give everyone an opportunity to play a little guessing game. How much do you think 41,000 kilowatt hours is worth? I'll give everyone a second to type something in. Well, the answer is at a very conservative 20 cents per kilowatt hour. And just as a point of reference, the point of LA is 24 cents per kilowatt hour. So just at 20 cents per kilowatt hour. Oh, Jesus. Went too far. Hold on, give me 1 second. At 20 cents per kilowatt hour, you will save $8,300 per pole per year, every year. So this is not something that only Port of LA and your, a 300-acre terminal can really benefit from. Every port can benefit from this. Now, those are the hard numbers of the savings. Now, the soft numbers, and this is why I was very interested in what Jay was talking about in terms of facility management, because that's one of the questions I ask people is like, how much money are you spending each year in maintaining your lighting system? Almost nobody knows. Nobody's really looked at it. And I'll tell you, from my experience, it's dramatically higher than what people think it is. And that's because the product cost is very low. You're looking at like 50 or $100 to go replace one of these high pressure sodium bulbs. The problem is most union ports, you need 2 guys and a man lift to go do it. Now that cost alone is about 6 to 10 times higher than the actual bulb. So now you're looking at like a really labor costly activity to replace a very cheap device. And this really starts eating into the costs in a very unforeseen way. And that's why I also encourage everybody to really try to dig in deeper into some of the data that they have on hand, because you'd be surprised at what you can find when you look close enough. Just to kind of give an example, we just completed our installation in August, end of August this year at Port of LA at Phoenix Marine Services, which is formerly the APL line terminal and EMS services. So they had 996 lights that they needed to upgrade, 996 1,000 watt bulbs. And so they came out saying, we'd like to get bids for everyone to come in and see what they can do. Well, we ended up winning it because we came in without doing a one-to-one replacement. Most of the people, they went through local contractors and they just said, hey, okay, I know you, go out and get me lights and give me an install cost. Well, it all came back with 996 of the 1,000 watt equivalent, and there was no design done. Well, after we did our design, we were able to identify 10% of the fixtures could be eliminated around the perimeter, as well as that we were able to achieve the OSHA standard by doing a mix of our products, a 600 watt and a 300 watt, which dramatically cuts into the investment cost of doing something like this. Obviously, it's about half the price to do a 300. So we were effectively able to come in and bid at something that was about 25% cheaper than everybody else. Not alone, we also had great pricing on top of that, but that's another tale. But as you can see, you know, the savings that they're compiling, $650,000 a year. Every year, they'll save that money. 400% internal rate of return on the product. Literally within 12 to 15 months, the costs of the products are paid back. Plus, if you haven't been looking around, a lot of stuff on the West Coast is rebatable. I know that Tacoma is offering rebates. I know that LA is still offering rebates. Unfortunately, the authority that caters to Port of Long Beach and San Diego, I don't believe is providing rebates anymore. But I encourage you to reach out to someone like me or someone that can always help you find out what rebates are applicable and what it is that we could do for you. So why lighting? Now, as Doug mentioned, we've known each other for a while. I used to work with Libre. I came from the kind of the old world of increasing efficiencies through equipments and things like this. And of course, you can't forget about the big elephant in the room about the risks involved with all these business ventures. Well, let me tell you one thing that doesn't have any risk: a light bulb. Because if your port is operating, you have to have them and they have to be on at night. And so if you're doing any kind of activity whatsoever, there's literally no risk involved anymore. As long as you're pretty sure you'll remain solvent for the next 12 to 15 months, it's pretty much a guaranteed return on investment. And I just want to kind of let that sink in a little bit of all the port directors that are attending and anyone in operations listening, how many decisions get made on purchase decisions that are zero risk in terms of paybacks and the value of it, that there's no third party that could follow through and not deliver on their end of it, or vessels not able to call anymore, or economic conditions like COVID are a very good example. Even though your terminal may be experiencing a 20–30% drop in vessel calls, you still got to turn those lights on to provide the lights for the ones that do call. And so I really encourage everybody. I know things have been a little hectic in this COVID life that we've been living in, and a lot of people are trying to scratch in their head, trying to figure out, well, how do they stay afloat even, let alone come out on top? I'm always happy to come by and take a look at what you guys are doing and provide my analysis on what we could do, how much money you could save, what rebates may be applicable, and hopefully get you guys in this kind of penny saved is a penny earned mentality. That's pretty much it for me. Again, here's some of our details if anyone's interested in reaching out and learning out more. If anybody's got any particular questions, I'm happy to address them now.
Well, thank you, Rory. Here's a question for you. It's a pretty important one. How can I tell if my current lighting is compliant with OSHA standards?
Well, this is honestly one of the most important things. And unfortunately, it's something that no one ever really thinks about until they have an accident. And let me tell you that if you have an accident at night, the insurance adjuster is going to come outside and start walking around with what's called a lux meter that he can tell by standing on the ground. He can tell how strong that light is. And if you are not compliant, I guarantee you that insurance claim is not going to get handed over to you. You're not going to get that check. And so what you can do, you know, you can either call on professionals like myself, or you can also talk to operation managers to get them to have somebody do this regularly. Now, an important thing here, HPS bulb needs to be changed out by every 2 years, which means that after the first year, you're already experiencing degradation. And if you're not, at least I'd say on a monthly or quarterly basis, doing sampling around your port to determine if you're still compliant or not, you're taking some very big risks. And it's not an expensive thing to do. Take maybe an hour or two, you know, a couple times a quarter, a couple times a year, you know, just go out and walk around with one of these $100 Lux meters and tell. But I'll tell you, out of everybody I talk to, nobody does it.
Because it's more than just about the money. It's about the safety too, as your operations and the people that work for you.
Yeah, you know, I mean, the increased lighting, you know, the kind of shadows that get created by these lights, and the color recognition just goes down. You know, you can't distinguish red from black, and you know, all these kinds of, like I said, shadows and things like this. Eye strain for the operators. It reduces glare. I'm a big fan of all the safety things, but apparently the guys with the pocketbooks want to hear more about the energy savings. But there is tons of information about the benefits of safety from having this.
Any other questions out there?
Is that it then?
Okay. Well, I do have one more question then, Rory. What are some of the common mistakes that are made in upgrading to a lighting system?
Well, you know, the bulbs themselves, the LEDs, they're not the most sophisticated piece of equipment, but they are electrical devices. And from my experience, like what we dealt with at FMS, at Port of Long Beach and Port of LA, is that the infrastructure is very, very poor and antiquated. And if you think you can maybe just unplug one light and plug in the next one, you may be in for a big surprise. And so this is why I'll always encourage that any port that's ever looking at doing an upgrade to bring in the manufacturers, because they're the ones that are specialists of understanding all the common pitfalls that come along, like choosing the wrong installer who isn't familiar with, you know, the installation process, the potential problems, or even choosing the wrong lighting manufacturer. You know, you buy cheap, you pay twice, you know, so, you know, you shouldn't, you know, be fishing around for the cheapest LED out there. You know, they're designed to last 10 years. And, you know, they've come down a lot in price recently. But again, the reliability is everything. If you buy a product designed to last 10 years, only lasts 5 years, your internal rate of return is flipped upside down. And, you know, then it starts looking like not such a good investment anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else for Rory?
No, that's it for me, guys. If anyone else also has any questions, you can see my info up on the screen. Always welcome to reach out to me.
Okay. Well, Jan, before I punt it back over to you, I just want to say thank you. It's great doing things with APP. I know it's been a while. You know, we missed out on the summer conference, obviously. It looks like we're going to miss out on the winter conference, which is a shame. But to know that everyone's still out there, still safe. Hopefully everyone's safe. Families are safe. And this bare knuckle it. We're going to get through this. We are going to get through this. Does anyone have questions of me? If not, I'll pass it back over to Jan.
I think we should at least have umbrella drinks for the next webinar in honor of the winter conference.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed. I was looking so forward to Saipan this year, but August 8th to 11th, Nanaimo, BC, where, you know, we've got our fingers crossed, and I hope we're all out of this stuff. I just want to thank everybody. Doug, you are a phenomenal moderator. I had no idea when I asked. I'm so happy. And you guys, each one of you, fantastic presentations. These will go up on our website. We'll send them out by our e-news, and we'll make sure all your contact information is really visible, so that if anybody wants to follow up afterwards, we can do that. Otherwise, thanks. I think we're dead on time. 2 minutes over, but